my sweet friends, I hope you are all doing well. Happy Wednesday. You know that means we are back to our regular tutorial style video. Today we're going to create this hardcover flip folio. I am going to be using these So Sweet images from my shop paired with some very sweet and festive Christmas pattern papers. So this is going to be a flip folio, and I have incorporated some tip-ins this time along with partial page flips in. So this continues to just fold out and offer so much room for your pictures and journaling. This is a very easy folio to create because our base starts with ready-made mailers, so we can get to the fun crafting part sooner. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. I've got my printable here. This is the Gingerbread Christmas images. I absolutely love how sweet and cheerful these are. They're very festive. I've got all of the images on a very neutral background, so I'm sure you will be able to find some papers from your stash that will coordinate perfectly. And I'm going to pick this Mittens and Mistletoe paper pad. I picked this up for our 12 Days of Christmas in July series, but I think the images here and the color palette are perfect because it does have those pinks, it does have those mint greens, and so this is going to be also a great scale to work for this book because it's the 6x8 size. So I want to create a very sturdy cover for this album, and I'm going to go back to those mailers that I picked up from Amazon. I just don't know how to purchase things in a quantity that is normal for regular people, and so I do have a lot of these to work through, but I do think that these are great to use as a cover because I'll be able to get a nice clean finished edge all the way around, and they are so sturdy and thick. And so the first thing I want to do is seal this up, and then I'll remove this portion. So I'm cutting my book cover to be 5 inches wide. Now this one claims to be 7 by 9, but upon measuring it myself, I've discovered that is 6 7/8 by 9, and so I want to take that into account when I do the measuring for the further layers I'm going to add. So of course we need 2 of these, one to be the front and the back cover, and I'll assemble these with the cut edges toward the back of the spine, so that will conceal that cut edge. And so the next thing I need to do is join these together, and I will recommend when you cut these to be very careful. I have a very good guillotine cutter, and I am careful and slow when I cut it. You do not want to Hulk smash through these because you may break your tools or injure yourself. If you don't have a guillotine cutter you are confident with, then perhaps you could mark this and cut it with a ruler and a craft knife. That way you're being very careful with your supplies and yourself. So let's go ahead and join these together, and I have a piece of 110-pound cardstock, and so I have this cut to be 6 7/8 by 2 3/4. It's scored at 1 and 1 3/4. We're going to get a spine of 3/4 of an inch deep. I put some adhesive on here, and I'll just take one side off at a time. And then I'm also going to utilize my 2 glue combo. So I'm just going to combine these by laying that mailer piece right alongside of the score line. That will keep everything nice and even. And then go ahead and repeat that process for this side as well. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces connected here, and you can see that we've got that beautiful crisp crease on our outside spine. This is a good time to finish the spine if you want to include a pattern, because you can get everything nice and flat. And so I have my cardstock cut to be 6 3/4 high by 5/8 of an inch wide. And the pattern paper is 6 5/8 high by 1/2 inch wide. I'm just going to go ahead and utilize my 2 glues for this as well. And I'll just lay that on there. I'll get to the border of the cardstock on the base as well. So this will be triple thick and nice and sturdy. So this is going to complete the outside cover. We do want to start including some pages for the inside as well. And I thought it would be fun to create some flips. Of course, I really like those. And so we're going to start with this full page flip. The measurement for this is going to be 6 7/8 of an inch high by 10 1/4 of an inch wide. It's scored at 5 and 5 1/4. And this is going to act as my flip. I'll add that to my book. But before I do that, I want to include my partial page flips. And I want to keep these all going in the order so that I can duplicate that for this side as well. So the next page flip is going to be 6 7/8 of an inch high by 8 inches wide and scored at 5. 2 glue combo one more time. And for this side, I want my flips to be in the middle. And I'll show you why when we get there. So I'm just going to line up this corner with the score line on my full page flip. Keep that nice and straight and even. Once this page opens, I want to put another flip page here. This time I want it to be a top folding flip. And so I am starting with my cardstock to be 5 inches high by 12 inches wide. And so I'm going to score that at 6 7/8. That's what I'm going to line up right along that score line. So now we'll have a partial page flip, a full page flip, and another partial page flip. So let's go ahead and get this added to the cover. And I'll tip that and add it to this side. Keep my fingers out of that glue, but that is just not going to be the case. But we're going to do our best. So let's get that lined up along the cut edge and along the bottom. So now we've got one of these folded inserts added. Let's add one for this side as well. And you see I've got my partial flip in the middle, just like I have for this side. Okay, so now I have both of these folded inserts added, and you'll see that we'll get our full page flips along with our partial page flips. Let's get started covering the inside now with our collection paper. I'm going to have my partial page here, and the measurement for the cardstock is 6 3/4 by 2 7/8. The pattern paper is 6 5/8 by 2 3/4. So I get the border of that pretty pink cardstock, and then also the base. Have the same measurement for the inside. Now we want to move to the full size page, and the cardstock for this is 6 3/4 by 4 7/8. The pattern paper is 6 5/8 by 4 3/4. Before I adhere that, I do want to add that image from my printable. And so I've just cut that out. I put quite a lot of detail on there with the stickles. And then I added it to a separate piece of cardstock. So this will be a tip-in. The cardstock measures 3 3/8 by 3 1/8. And then I scored it at 1/2 inch. And so that's going to give me a nice border of that cardstock around the image, and a little flap I can tuck around here and add that so I can sandwich that in between the pattern paper and the base. And we'll just add this to our page here. Then the fun part of this one is that this flip will hold down this flip. So this is more of an interactive page. Now let's go ahead and open this up and start working on the center portion. The measurement for the flip on this side is going to be 5 inches high by 4 7/8 of an inch wide for the cardstock. The pattern paper is 4 7/8 by 4 3/4. And remember, we want to cover the underside of that flap as well. So same measurement for that. And then we'll have our pattern the same measurement as those full-size pages on the other side. I think it will be really nice to see these different patterns showing together. So I just picked a slightly different scale to keep them from looking busy. Now the last piece for this side is going to be another pattern, another scale. This one has a little bit more color in the background. I do also have another of the images, so I just treated that in the exact same way as the first one we installed, and it's going to wrap around and be for this center page. So now we have our first partial page flip with a tip in, and then our second partial page tip here, and the tip in for the center section. So I've prepared the same thing for this side as well, using the exact same measurements, and I will add those with the same process. So I will just join you back here when I have that finished. So now we have the inside of our book all finished. We've got our partial page flips with the tip ins. I think it would be okay to cover the back of these if you had additional pattern papers that you wanted to incorporate. But for me, I really appreciate having a neutral place for the journaling to land, so you could write directly onto that and have that as a great place to capture the memories that go with your pictures. So I'm keeping mine just the cardstock. So now we open this up and we'll get our top folding flips and our tip ins, and then the same for this side as well. So I did go ahead and cover the back already with my pattern paper, and I've also picked out this beautiful pink coral rose plaid ribbon, and I think this is just going to complement those sweet pink colors so well. I do want to tack that in place. Let's use that hot glue. I'll just use that pattern paper to capture and sandwich that ribbon trim between the base here to keep it well secured. I just went ahead and paired a couple of different patterns for the cover here. I think they coordinate absolutely beautifully with my printable. I do want to break up a little bit of that busy pattern with this pretty crisp white doily. And then here is the image I picked for the cover. I went ahead and stickled that as well. So much added detail there. I put it onto a piece of 110-pound cardstock, and then I added some foam tabs to elevate this. That's going to give us some dimension. And that's just going to go right in the middle. Have my flowers created with the offcuts from the cardstock as I was working along. So I just made two beautiful layered blooms here. I've got die cut foliage. This time included some holly shapes with my netting and loopy twine bows and more of that pretty coral rose check ribbon. And this is just going to go on the bottom to anchor the bottom corner of my image. I really think this folio is going to be versatile enough to work with any collection that you have, and is ideal for some of the smaller paper pads like the 6x8s, because you're going to get that nice compact pattern. And so I would recommend doing that. If you decide to add more flips, you could easily do that, but I would recommend making the spine a little bit deeper just to work in enough room to accommodate all the paper layers that you want to add. Our final finishing detail will be a couple of sequins here. I'm going to put 2 down on the base. And then 1 up here on the printable. That's going to be it for our project today. If you would like to see other versions of this same hardcover, but adding a flip folio on the inside, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. Remember, you can find links in the description for all of our socials, as well as the trims from Really Reasonable Ribbon. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe and join my crafty little family As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!